Oh god. So 2.0. It's here, it's confirmed. Well, it's coming next year, but you get the point. I've been thinking a lot about the current state of Wuthering Waves, especially now with 2.0 being announced, and also we're seeing some more things about the upcoming region. It's got me to think about the game a lot more than it has recently. It's really been taking up a lot of thoughts and opinions, so to speak, and I want to share them here. Now, for Rinascita specifically, I think the region definitely looks interesting, definitely inspired by more Mediterranean Europe architecture of that sort, you know, Italy and Greece and all that stuff. Especially the names, they're so Latin derived, and I think it's a really cool aesthetic. I'm European, so yeah, I approve. But what I want to discuss is the overall direction of the game, and specifically the story, and how I genuinely just want to ask a simple question. Where are we heading? This is also just more or less a general critique for the wuwa story, and I feel as if there's generally things to be talked about when it comes to the actual storytelling and the overall setup for the plot of Wuthering Waves. Right now, for what I understand, as somebody that just plays the game and listens to the story, I feel like it's kind of backfired when it comes to actually presenting the story in the way they have done it. The setup of the story so far is essentially that we don't know anything and we know as much as the rover does. On this opinion, I don't really think that that's a super effective way to get people to stay interested in the story. Take Genshin Impact for example. At the start of the game, you understand immediately what the stakes are and what the story is going to be about. However, in wuwa, we're dropped in with no answers to any questions, and we just have more questions and more questions and more questions, some answers, but still doesn't really give you a better perspective. And I think that's actually not really that helpful. What would be helpful would be some sort of way to convey a message or very important plot point that can help you guide you through the story. For example, how Genshin Impact basically has the idea of we need to find our sibling. For me, the perfect plot point that would kind of match the wuwa story in this regard would be a story about redeeming ourselves. My current understanding of the wuwa story is essentially this. We have already been on this planet before, but we're dropped in again. But we've already failed to save it once, but now we're here again and we're trying to save the planet again. You could have basically had this NPC, who I don't know the name of, have a really short dialogue that essentially conveys a message like that. Something about saving the world again, or something about your past failures. It gives the player a driving factor to keep playing the story while also not really ruining the immersion. It feeds the player information that they can digest and then interpret for themselves. And as the story goes along, it kinda slowly unravels itself. But Wuthering Waves doesn't really have that. To me, it kind of feels like it's hinted towards the fact that that's what the story is about, especially with the Black Shores arc. And I think it's really important to actually establish some stakes in the story. Because sure, we'll find out later what the story is about, but I think that's a problem. I think you should at least have an idea of what the story is even going to be about as soon as you play it, and not after like 3 chapters. Being completely in the dark is not an effective way of telling a story. You need to at least guide the player with some sort of light to have an idea of where they're going. Because in the end, you're just going to be wondering, what am I even doing? Right now in Wuthering Waves, quite literally, there is no motive for the main character right now to even explore the world besides their own curiosity and for their own self-serving purpose. And sure, self-serving purposes in stories are very common. However, in Wuthering Waves, there is no motive besides your own self-serving curiosity, which is my issue. Genshin Impact's story is self-serving, but there's a motive and there are stakes. And sure, there are stakes in Wuthering Waves, but you don't even know that there are stakes at play until you play some of the story. The main story will slowly unveil itself and show what the purpose of the MC is, but the journey is filled with so many more "oh what" moments than "oh this can't be good." You just can't anticipate what's gonna happen in wuwa. And I don't think that's good for the average player. And there's other things, like, as much as I really do like how Rinascita looks, I kinda am a bit afraid that they'll move away from their initial vision of the more dystopian style look, which in my opinion, I feel like really fit the more mature theme of the game. Obviously this is only one area, we haven't seen everything, but I definitely would not want Wuthering Waves to go in the direction that's super colorful and just very bright. And I want them to evolve their own aesthetic and not just simply copy something that's already worked in the past. I don't really mind Wuthering Waves copying a formula for like the first 8 months of the release of the game, but over time, They need to develop their own identity, and I think the time is now. Inspiration is completely fine. It helps you create the product that you want to make. And I think Kuro Games need to really focus on specifically that. They need to focus on creating a game that they want to make. There's a market for Wuthering Waves because it is similar to Genshin Impact, and that is just the truth. But I don't think it should be the exact same game. Kuro has already done the smart thing, which is taking what works and trying to make it better. But I really want Kuro to sit down and truly make something that is completely original to Wuthering Waves, and actually stand out from the crowd, and not just cardboard copy everything. And Kuro has definitely shown that they're capable of at least being able to do so. And I really want them to try, especially in version 2 and version 3. I think the best step they've made so far is actually the characters. A lot of the version 1 characters are definitely very inspired, which isn't a bad thing, and some definitely do stand out, and some just don't. And it's pretty simple as that. I want them to just stand out more, and really establish their own style of character design. But overall, I'm still very hopeful. Though I will say, like, 1.4 being 50 days, yeah, that one's rough. And no, for the fucking Kuro shells out there, no, this will not make Camellia's banner do better. It will not. Mainly saying this because I don't want to be associated with the groups of people that basically say Camellia is gonna save Wuthering Waves when it comes to the revenue. I'm not that delusional. But that was about it. 3 weeks without an upload. I've been incredibly demotivated, I'll be completely honest. But I'm working through it. So I'll see you guys next time when I find something that pisses me the fuck off.